My name's Owen Tilk, and today we're here with Learning Beyond Lectures at DCU EdTech Talks. So today we're here with Gertrude Rufai, DCU's on-campus mental health nurse, and we're going to be talking about the effects of social media on mental health, kind of especially with university-age students. So I'm going to start off here. Gertrude, can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your role as DCU's on-campus mental health nurse?
So, like that, my name is Gertrude. I have just started. We've just had this position for about 2 years. A lot of my role will include supporting students with their mental health, whether they're struggling with exam times or just life circumstances that's making it a bit difficult to keep on top of things in college. It's a very lovely role to be in, but very busy, as you can imagine, with everything going on in the world and in college altogether.
Yeah, perfect. I'm going to ask you, what inspired you to work specifically with mental health and especially kind of to work with students as well?
I've always loved just understanding people, which just meant that I knew I'd be in a people role. I think just, yourself when you're working on the weekends while in college, you're doing a lot of people-orientated activities, yeah. And so I think at the time I wanted to do something along the line of psychology, but I wanted to get straight to work because I loved it. So that's what led me into the mental health nursing. And then after I did my master's in the psychotherapy, so I do have a bit of both. But I just love working with people. And once you can get time to understand people, you get to truly kind of see what makes them, what makes them tick, what makes them kind of really excitable and ambitious and motivated. And sometimes people kind of just trip on that journey, and like being able to be honored to be in that position to help them get back up on the step that they were on and do all the things that they love is just so rewarding.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Perfect. And then can I ask, so from your experience, what are kind of the biggest mental health challenges that would kind of face university students today?
I think the biggest challenge would be a lot of people struggle with anxiety and low mood and depression, and just with, especially since COVID, with so much happening in the world and on social media, I think we're probably very much more exposed to other people's lives, but just the good and not all the bad. And so that becomes very tricky because then you have people really comparing themselves to others, feeling like they're not good enough, feeling like they're not doing enough. And it puts a lot of pressure on people to be a certain way, which may not be their way. And that can cause a lot of anxiety within you because you're not living within your actual self or your authentic self. And it's causing all these fears and anxieties and worries to bubble up and start showing on the surface as well. Yeah. So anxiety, low mood is the biggest, and especially with college as well. Like, you know yourself. It's really tough. And like you're juggling so many different roles. Like you're a sibling, you're a friend, you're a student, you're probably your peer mentor or all of the above. And then you have your own stuff going on at home, financially, trying to keep up with social activities, feeding yourself even. And it's very new for people. And you're kind of getting hit with all the responsibilities at once. And it can be quite tough to juggle all that. So it's understandable as well.
Yeah. All right. So how have you seen like social media kind of influence the mental health of students, kind of both positively and negatively, I suppose?
So I think positively, it's great to see people be so creative and think outside the box and be able to show that, okay, you don't have to be a certain way. You don't have to go to college and just do a certain thing. You can be quite creative in how you use that degree or the things that you've learned. And even in the terms of like support, the fact that we even have a lot more telehealth means that it's so much more accessible for students and just people in general to seek the care that they need, the knowledge that they need, and have that access compared to like many years ago. So like it definitely is beneficial. I just think sometimes on the negative side of things, it can impact students in terms of that like over comparison, which is a huge one. Seeing people do all these things and feeling like it was just that easy, and when they start feeling the difficulties of it, they may feel like, okay, why is it so hard for me? Not understanding that's part of the journey as well. Especially students, you see where you want to be and you're not there yet, and you start putting all this pressure on yourself to be there and get there quick enough or as good as them or as quick as them. But then you don't realize that added pressure other people are also feeling that, but they're also taking their time to get there, and it didn't just come overnight. Whereas when you're bombarded with so much information and all the positive, you're like, why am I struggling? Why am I finding this as difficult? And you're not getting the full story, and that could be quite detrimental.
Yeah. You're only seeing the good, like.
You know, and I'm sure you know yourself as well. When you see it, you're like, oh, that looks really cool. How can I do that? Well,
Everyone getting all the good internships, all of that. Like,
exactly.
You only see the best side of it, I suppose.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, so can I ask kind of, why do you think students are particularly vulnerable to these kind of pressures of social media?
Why are they vulnerable to the pressures? I don't know, to be honest. I think it's just, like, we all love social media. Let's be for real. I love Instagram. Like, I'll be on it all the time. But I think maybe we're just not using our critical thinking skills as much to see what is real and what is just TV, social media in a way, which I don't necessarily think that there's anybody to blame. I just think it's in a way still new to understand how it impacts us. And we're still trying to figure out, okay, how to make it our own, and with the algorithms and everything, make it a bit more healthy rather than all the things that we're judging ourselves for coming up.
Would you have any tips on some practical steps students can kind of take to manage the stress and anxiety they kind of get, which can be caused from social media, I suppose?
So I think taking a break sometimes, just to kind of get back into yourself and ground yourself a little bit. Sometimes you can be bombarded with so much information, it's hard to know what is you and what is all the things that you're taking in. So even like a digital detox, I know that can just give you space to just do other things that you enjoy, practice other activities that you enjoy doing. You know yourself, you'd be stuck on it for an hour, 2 hours just scrolling. So even setting it aside for 30 minutes to an hour, do some meditation or read a book or create something that you haven't done before, engage in a new hobby that you haven't done before as well. And that can just give you space to kind of just be in the world, be physically connected to people, and just feel like you belong to something or to a community. So I think that's a good way. Sometimes people might just need like to set an alarm and be quite specific, put it in another room, and just give themselves some space.
Yeah, detox for a bit, like.
Exactly.
Yeah. So kind of, how can students build a healthier relationship with kind of always being connected, I suppose, and always being there with your phone, like on social media, I suppose?
I think just understanding how it impacts you. If you spend more time just reflecting on, okay, how did that particular post make me feel? It could help you kind of know when you need to take a step from it or when you need a boundary from it, and become a bit more clearer for yourself that, okay, oh, maybe I'm engaging in that a bit too much, and it's impacting me. Because sometimes you just scroll, you don't even notice it impacting you.
You're not even thinking, like,
you know, it's true. So at least just being more aware of how it's impacting you. Again, taking a break a little bit, being a bit more critical of, okay, is that real? Or even though it looks and appears like in this perfect way, what are some other things that could be going on in the background? Even through talking to friends that you know is a reality, just to kind of bring some reality to it a little bit as well, and make it a bit more balanced rather than, oh my God.
You know, stay in the real world as well as online, I suppose.
Exactly.
And then can I ask you just kind of what resources are available to DCU students who are possibly struggling with mental health challenges?
So DCU are great, to be honest. We have the counselling service, which is great to just kind of go and speak about what's going on for you, how these things could be impacting you. I myself would be as part of the health centre. So if people need to book an appointment with me as well, even just as like a little check-in of support, if they feel like they're worried but they're not sure how bad it is or not bad as well, it could be. You can find me through linking with the health centre. I also run groups throughout the year which focus on different mental health topics like digital detox, stress management, meditation, anxiety, even social anxiety. And those could be helpful to just get snippets of information to kind of help you understand what's going on for you, but also to meet other people who are going through similar things. And that could just help you realize, okay, you're not alone, but there is ways out of it and ways and skills that could help as well. So those would be the big ones. We do have Silver Cloud as part of Loop, which is really helpful. It is a CBT program. CBT is cognitive behavior therapy, and it looks at how your thoughts impact your feelings, which impact your behavior. And that is like a short program that each person can do with a range of different topics like low mood, anxiety, OCD, stress management, and it just gives people space to do online at their own pace. So that's been a really helpful resource from feedback that we've gotten from students too.
Yeah. And then kind of in what ways can social media be used as a tool to support mental health instead of kind of harming it, do you reckon?
So again, I think it's helpful in terms of even seeking help from a therapist online, from a support group online, a healthy support group online, and even just from information sharing as well. I mean, we still need social media because a lot of our peers are probably on it that we can speak to when we're not beside them physically. But again, just having a healthier relationship with it. So in terms of seeking support, it's amazing. Having platforms that we can feel like we belong to is really good for the soul as well. And just having been more mindful of how we use it and when we use it.
Yeah. So do you think social media platforms should kind of have a responsibility to address mental health issues, and kind of if so, how should they?
Oh, that's a big question.
You can take a minute if you need.
I think it's difficult for social media platforms to fully take responsibility, but I do think they should try their best. And if that is in filtering where there's more toxic traits being displayed, that's definitely a responsibility that they should hold, just because you never know how much that's going to impact somebody and what they're going to take from that. But it is quite difficult to hold because you never know how different people are internalizing things. And most people kind of just go on social media just to show the good because they're proud of it. And that's not necessarily bad, but it's just for other people. People are different. They could just internalize and put the pressure on themselves. And maybe it's more a case of promoting more health promotion and healthy ways of dealing with social media. And that's something that big companies can take on to kind of help mediate the effects of the negative impacts of social media. Yeah. And that could be something that's relatively easier to do as well. Yeah. Just education and health promotion.
Perfect. And then can I ask you kind of, what advice would you have to like secondary school students kind of preparing for university and the pressures that kind of come with it?
Be gentle with yourself. The transition of change that comes between secondary school and college is a huge jump. And of course, we hear about how fun it is and how many people you're going to meet and all the different activities you're going to be able to join. But there's also other responsibilities that comes with it, like college work, managing that, time management, working with procrastination, having some skills or tools that kind of help you get past that when you're finding it a bit difficult. Link in with your lecturers and let them know who you are so that when you are finding it difficult, you feel comfortable to go back to them and tell them that, oh, can they have a little bit extra help? You know yourself. And just be patient with yourself as you try to figure out this new change. Because even studying is different. Meeting friends, there's so many people, like it takes a lot of courage to kind of put yourself out there as well. So take your time.
Yeah.
Enjoy the experience, but take your time.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
And then I suppose if there's one message you want students to kind of take away from this podcast, kind of what would that be?
I think it would be to mind yourself. Even with social media, again, amazing platform. There's great things to see. TikTok, everybody loves TikTok. Yeah. But just mind yourself when you're using it. When you're noticing that you're feeling overwhelmed with all the pressures of life and all the pressures that you're seeing, take a step back and give yourself permission to take a step back. To just detox from it, even for an hour. It doesn't have to be long. It could be an hour, it could be a day. And give yourself permission to do something else, to be with yourself, to do other things that you like and you enjoy, and to connect with people in person as well, to kind of mediate the effects a little bit and help yourself know that, okay, you're allowed to do that.
That's perfect. Thanks a million, Gertrude. Thanks a million for coming in with us anyway.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me.
Cheers.